Foreign Minister Jaishankar is in Pakistan and he has attended a dinner hosted by Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif. As Jaishankar shakes hands in Pakistan, our scoop, our interview, our conversation with Nawaz Sharif is making headlines and generating a furious debate in Pakistan and back home. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. We're continuing to look at that SCO summit that is taking place in Islamabad. Jaishankar, our foreign minister there, arriving for a handshake with the Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif. Body language is one of those cliches of media coverage of diplomacy, especially when it comes to anything involving India and Pakistan. Mr. Jaishankar touched down this afternoon in Islamabad, becoming the first foreign minister to visit Pakistan in nearly a decade. The last minister was Sushma Swaraj in 2015. I had the occasion to meet and talk to Nawaz Sharif and his daughter, the Chief Minister of Punjab, on record. It was a brief on record statement, but one that generated a lot of heat and interest, as Nawaz Sharif told me that he hopes to sit down with Prime Minister Modi in the not too distant future, and how he thinks it would have been great. These are his exact words: a great thing, a wonderful thing if the Prime Minister had come as well for the SCO, but he's hoping very much to revive ties. In that conversation, there was no reference to the abrogation of Article 370. Remember, Pakistan had earlier said that there could be no resumption of bilateral dialogue with India till India rolled back its position on 370. Well, India has just concluded a successful election in Jammu and Kashmir, and the new Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir will be taking oath tomorrow morning. This, as street protests have rocked the streets of Pakistan, demanding that Imran Khan be released from jail. So there's a lot going on all at once, as the movie goes, everything everywhere all at once. That seems to encapsulate what's happening in Pakistan. And in India, hard-nosed questions are being asked about whether anything more than a speech that focuses on terrorism can be expected from Mr. Jaishankar's visit. Let me introduce two very distinguished guests today. Joining me is Murtaza Solangi. He's, of course, a veteran journalist, but he's also been a former federal minister in the Pakistan government. Murtaza Saab, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And also joining me is Ajay Bisaria. He's a veteran diplomat. He's been a high commissioner to Pakistan. He's also the author of a very, very compelling read on India-Pakistan relations called Anger Management, and he has the distinction of having been the High Commissioner who was expelled by Pakistan after Article 370 was abrogated in Kashmir. So really, what's been at the stated heart of that India-Pakistan conflict, or at least one of the stated points of one of the stated fault lines, is represented by Ambassador Bisaria. So welcome, both of you. And in the midst of all this, we have what Nawaz Sharif has said to me. We'll come to that in a moment. Let's first look at the big picture, the handshake. Ambassador Bisaria, I'll start with you. Handshakes are the bane of journalists covering diplomatic summits, because then for the next many hours, all we do is, was it cold? Was it warm? Was it so-so? What was the body language? Mr. Jaishankar certainly doesn't, there's no question. There's not all smiles. It's a polite, almost forced smile, some would say. It's civil. It's as expected. No big surprises there, except some might say Mr. Jaishankar's decision to go at all is a surprise. Were you surprised?
Surprised.
Give me a second. Start again. We couldn't hear you. Yeah, start again.
Well, I would say I was not entirely surprised. I think after both the countries had elections, there was a sense that there would be baby steps forward. And what better way to take that baby step than on the sidelines of a multilateral meet? I think both sides have done a good deal of expectation management by making it clear that this is a multilateral meet. But I think it is nevertheless significant that India has decided to field Foreign Minister Jaishankar rather than anyone else. I think that itself is a signal, at least that Pakistan and that India would like to stabilize the relationship, if not normalize it. And I think it's the very first baby step in what could be a process of stabilization of the relationship.
Ambassador Bisaria, you have argued that the ball is in Pakistan's court for any sort of resumption. And the fact is that on paper, it is Pakistan that halted trade. It is Pakistan that said, that threw you out when 370 was abrogated, threw you out unceremoniously from Islamabad. And of course, this all comes with the turf of being a diplomat. My question to you is, when you say the ball is in Pakistan's court, what do you expect Pakistan to do immediately for this to be more than baby steps?
Well, I think if you look back at the history of the relationship, we are talking of the last decade, and the last visit of a foreign minister was Sushma Swaraj, who went in December 2015, again for a multilateral meet. But that was a completely different multilateral meet, because what happened during that meeting was that the two sides had decided to resume their comprehensive dialogue and to take the relationship forward. It was followed in a few weeks by a visit by PM Modi to
Hmm.
Islamabad, and a very friendly kind of moment between Prime Minister Modi and Nawaz Sharif. It so happens that the two leaders are still calling the shots 9 years later, and India's foreign minister is in Pakistan again. But I think this time there's been a good deal of expectation management to say that this is a multilateral visit. And what I mean by saying the ball is in Pakistan's court is that the host has the privilege of perhaps having a pull aside informal exchange. And, it
Hmm.
just takes a few minutes of informal conversation to perhaps say that maybe we should take the next baby step of sending back our high commissioners and resuming our missions at full strength, so that we can take this relationship forward and build this trust very gradually.
Murtaza Saab, this was the sort of photo op moment that everybody was waiting for. And now will come the speeches. And I think we're all old enough to be able to sense what the speeches or how the speeches will play out. Mr. Jaishankar is going to undoubtedly speak about terrorism. Pakistan has its own stated positions. And we all know, at least all three of us know these stated positions. The very presence of Mr. Jaishankar there, attending Shehbaz Sharif's dinner reception, you know um, is it a baby step? Is it nothing at all? Is it a sense of deja vu that everybody's looking for something which isn't going to happen?
Well, it's more than more than baby steps. It's
Hmm.
probably toddler steps, if you will. Uh, Last year in May, I was on
Hmm.
your show in Goa
Yes.
when Bilawal Bhutto walked in, and they had no handshake. Jaishankar did his namaskar, and Bilawal did the same. And you asked me, is Bilawal reciprocating? And I said no. Bilawal has Sindhi blood in his veins, and for us Sindhis, this is our traditional secular salam. So we have crossed that, you know, distance, and I think in terms of expectation management, what Ambassador Bisaria said, I think it's time that we go to the title of my honored guest, anger management. We go in that mode. And I think you got a good um, ice break yesterday when you talked to Nawaz Sharif, who gave you quite a few pleasant things.
Hmm.
So when Ambassador Bisaria says the ball is in Pakistan's court, I think both Sharif and Jaishankar have entered the court. Now we will see who touches the ball, who pushes it, and where do we go from there. But I think the very arrival of Jaishankar is significant. You have enough stuff on your plate in Delhi, especially in Ministry of External Affairs. I don't want to distract your viewers to any other subject, but you have enough
Hmm.
on your plate. Had he wanted not to come, just like your commerce minister, he could have attended it virtually. But I
Hmm.
think there is some realization both in Islamabad and Delhi that we need to move a bit forward, maybe a baby step or whatever you call it. I think not only in bilateral sense, but this is our neighborhood.
Yeah.
We can't change our parents and we can't change our neighbors. Pakistan would always be on India's western side, and India would always be on our eastern side. So we have to, find a way to negotiate and normalize our relations. I think Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, our former foreign minister, said it right today that since our esteemed guest is in town, he won't say anything, even if he repeats that mantra that you just talked about. We will see what Mr. Isakdar says.
Yes. Just to say, and then I'll go to Ambassador Bisaria, that you're right in saying that Jaishankar could have chosen not to come, even at the last moment. But the flip turnaround question will also be asked of Pakistan, where Islamabad has been in lockdown. There have been street protests before there by supporters of Imran Khan. So Pakistan also has, crazy amount of stuff going on. But I want to bring in Ambassador Bisaria, and I know Murtaza Saab, you are familiar with my interview with Nawaz Sharif, but I will take the liberty of playing that clip once more in a bit. But I want Ambassador Bisaria to come in on this. The sense, Ambassador Bisaria, that this is more than a baby step, that Jaishankar needn't have gone, that even in the very last moment he could have given any reason and not gone. That's the point that Murtaza Saab is in a sense alluding to. But the more specific question is this: Pakistan has a stated position in the past, because of which you were thrown out from Pakistan, that till the 370 abrogation is not revised in some way, bilateral relationships cannot resume. Now, the irony is that as Mr. Jaishankar will be speaking in Pakistan, Omar Abdullah will be taking his oath as the next Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. Nobody planned it like this, but this is the beauty of coincidences, right? Do you believe that Pakistan needs a face saver to walk back from its stated position? And what might that face saver look like?
Well, I would say the goalpost has shifted. I don't think that position is being emphasized by Pakistan anymore. That was a position taken in the very early days of post Article 370 confusion in Pakistan by the Imran Khan government. And in any case, that position was not endorsed by Pakistan's army, because the position taken by the army and some more serious thinkers was that Pakistan never recognized Article 370 anyway. It said that this was fake autonomy worked out by Jawaharlal Nehru and Sheikh Abdullah in the early days, and that didn't hold much meaning. In any case, Article 370 had been hollowed out in the 1950s. So I think the position that was taken then was a rushed position, and Pakistan and its current government see no reason to be married to that position. If you look back, India over the last decade has had a position of no talks with terror, but that is a more ambiguous position. You haven't really defined what that level of terrorism is, and there has been a significant drop in terrorism, although it's not down to zero. Similarly, Pakistan had superimposed on that position a position that no talks with Article 370. But we haven't seen too many reiterations of that position. So I think there is a more pragmatic understanding that after elections in both countries, there is a time to relook at old positions, not to be too bogged down by them, and move pragmatically forward. And, to take this analogy of steps forward, whether it's baby or toddler, what hasn't served us very well in the past is the great leap forward. The prime ministerial visit, the bus journey, because Vajpayee went in 1999 and soon he had Kargil. Modi went on a visit in 2015, and soon we had Pathankot and Uri that year. So the idea is that we've tried those great leaps forward. Let's try the baby steps. And this is a baby step of a minister who is a very significant force and the chief diplomatic advisor of PM Modi, going across himself when there were other options of doing it, and being available in Pakistan. So I would say it is something which is already positive. And if he has a 3-minute conversation with someone on how to take the relationship forward, that would be a bonus. But for you, Barkha, I think congratulations on the scoop on getting Nawaz Sharif to say what he did, because I think it's very significant what Nawaz Sharif has said, that in the not too distant future he hopes to sit with Modi, or at least his government hopes to sit with India's Prime Minister. And I think what you perhaps need is another scoop from India's point of view, is an interview with the Army Chief, Asim Munir, where you ask him the same question. And with that, we can triangulate and be sure that all of Pakistan's establishment is on board and would like to take this relationship forward.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to play out a bit of that scoop again for anyone who may have missed it. But that last point that you made, Ambassador Bisaria, an interview with General Asim Munir, the Pakistan Army Chief, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, or even in the medium to long term. But I take the point that you're making. Nawaz Sharif made this comment. Does Pakistan's Army Chief back him, or was Sharif only speaking for himself? Take a look at what I managed to get in that conversation on record with Pakistan's former Prime Minister. His brother is the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who just shook hands with Jaishankar ji, and his daughter is the Punjab Chief Minister. Listen in, and we'll come right back. Here in Lahore, we are at the Punjab Chief Minister's office. The Chief Minister, of course, is Maryam Nawaz Sharif, the daughter of former Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, whose brother is the present Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shahbaz Sharif. Now, we have a big exclusive here at the Mojo story. I have just met with both Mr. Nawaz Sharif and Ms. Maryam Nawaz Sharif, and the statement I have from them is something that I think will be reflected on quite carefully and with interest in India, hours before Foreign Minister Jaishankar is scheduled to arrive here to attend the SCO summit. Now, even though both countries have made it clear that this is not about a bilateral relationship, in fact, Mr. Jaishankar was categorical that he's not coming here to talk about India-Pakistan relations, and he is expected in his speech to talk about India's concerns on terrorism. The statement from Nawaz Sharif, made exclusively to me and the Mojo story, is something that we need to share with a larger audience, and is something that is significant. Nawaz Sharif says, I have always been a supporter of good relations with India. I hope that there is an opportunity to revive our relationship. It would have been a great thing if Prime Minister Modi had also attended the SCO summit here in Pakistan. I do hope that he, being Prime Minister Modi, and us will have an opportunity to sit together in the not so distant future. This is a statement that Nawaz Sharif made to me in response to questions that I asked him in an interaction with him and his daughter, the Punjab Chief Minister here in Pakistan. And what is significant to note is this. Over the last year, Nawaz Sharif has been issuing statements that have been watched with great interest in India. In May of this year, he actually went on record to say that what happened after the Lahore Declaration was a betrayal of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He was talking, of course, about how the Kargil war followed the Lahore bus ride. And he actually said that what happened in Kargil was a violation of the Lahore Agreement. And he went so far as to say that it was Pakistan's fault. Now, this is something that India did respond to. India said that a more objective view was emerging in Pakistan about what had happened in the Kargil war. In 2023, Nawaz Sharif also once again complimented India, and he spoke about how there was India that was reaching for the moon quite literally, and there was Pakistan that was literally in a sense, at the opposite end of the spectrum. And once again, in that speech too, he said Pakistan was to blame for its own crises, for its own downfall. So Nawaz Sharif's statement to us, exclusively at the Mojo story, has to be seen in the larger context of the kind of statements he has been making. They're also very significant because remember, Pakistan's official stated position made by the previous government was that after the abrogation of 370 in Jammu and Kashmir, it would not resume dialogue till something changed on that front. Nawaz Sharif has not made a reference to that as being any sort of precondition. Instead, he's expressing the hope that he wished Prime Minister Modi was here, and he is through us in the media making this big exclusive comment saying that he looks forward to an opportunity to sit down directly with the Prime Minister in the not too distant future. Now, of course, in India, the concern remains one: terrorism, terrorism, terrorism. And as I said, Mr. Jaishankar is expected to focus on that in his speech. But here at the Punjab Chief Minister's residence, the fact that Nawaz Sharif has issued this statement hours before Jaishankar is to arrive for the SCO summit is certainly not without significance and will be seen coupled with all of the other rather intriguing statements he's been making. We'll give you a sense of where we're standing. You can see the building behind me. This is the Punjab Chief Minister's office here in the city of Lahore, and with Anup Jha on the ground. This is Barkha Dutt for Mojo Story with this big exclusive statement from Nawaz Sharif. Now, Ambassador Bisaria, thank you for those kind words. Murtaza Saab, you also made a reference to this conversation. What I was surprised by, even as I know that a number of Pakistani media outlets and Indian media organizations have picked up this conversation, is how ferociously angry Imran Khan's supporters were about me doing this interview. I'm just a professional doing my job, but I've been trolled all day by Imran Khan's supporters asking me why I'm talking to this irrelevant person. This is a government without legitimacy. This is a government that has no mandate to govern. Neither he nor his brother should be there. This is the reason I bring this up. The reason I bring this up is because you made a reference to how much is going on in India. There's a sense in India. One, Ambassador Bisaria alluded to it, that no civilian leader has the authority to make these kind of statements unless the army chief of Pakistan is on board, whoever may be the army chief. And two, with the turmoil that is going on vis-a-vis Imran Khan, the Sharifs don't have that kind of authority to talk about sitting down with Prime Minister Modi. What do you say to that?
Are you asking me?
Yes, Murtaza Saab, yes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a storm in the teacup. The PTI troll brigade can say whatever they want. They were supposed to have a revolution in Islamabad today, where you are. And
Yes.
you know how they folded that. There is infighting within PTI, and they were using provincial government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa to attack federal government. And now they have found out that the chief minister of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is not willing to do that. So they are in a crisis themselves. The province of Punjab, where they claim to have a landslide victory in February elections, they can't, gather a few thousand people for protest. So they can, huff and puff. But the very fact is that the current government enjoys support from the establishment, and there is a new one page operational now, and soon you will see few constitutional amendments that will empower the current government. So this is just grapes are sour from PTI's point of view. It doesn't have much importance.
Were you surprised that Nawaz Sharif said what he did to me?
No, I was not, because he has been saying this all along. And as I told you yesterday, at times he has paid the price for it. But, if you have walked on the streets of Islamabad, there is no hostility
No.
in common people against India. And so is the same mood, I would say, in India. When, if and when the leadership of both countries makes up their mind to negotiate and talk about all the thorny issues, I think if you decide that you don't want to live in history, you want to live in present and future, you can always find a way.
Okay, let me give the last word to Ambassador Bisaria, who, as you said, his book title, Anger Management, is something needed in great doses in diplomacy. Ajay, you've been at the center of most of these moments that Nawaz Sharif referred to, the Lahore bus ride, right? Followed by then Kargil. Today, I brought that up in my interview with Nawaz Sharif, and he said, I stand by those comments. He said, forget it being a violation, it was a betrayal. And then he went on to say, I'm very plain spoken, I say what I think, and so on. The question is the one you asked. Is he saying this as Nawaz Sharif? Is he saying this with the blessings of General Asim Munir? And the last time, even a Pakistan army chief, General Bajwa, tried to talk about shifting policy on Jammu and Kashmir, there were consequences for him. So even the Pakistan army chief is not necessarily all powerful. And, that's where I want to leave the last word with you, Ambassador Bisaria. Who's calling the shots, or are there wheels within wheels? And if there are wheels within wheels, how does India respond?
Well, I think one factor which is important is that Nawaz Sharif has come to power, or the Sharif brothers have come to power in concert with the army. And that is reassuring. And we can only presume that he has some ways or means of communicating with the army establishment and confirming a point of view which he then expresses. And I think such a signal, you getting the interview and him saying what he did, is perhaps not without some measure of planning. And therefore, I think it is, again, a positive signal. But like I said, India will be watching this carefully and be going by the situation on the ground rather than words and assurances. And I think the attempt this time, as Jaishankar said, the approach is, he said, we won't be passive. If we have positive signals, India will be positive. If negative stuff happens, India will be negative. So I think it's the small steps, baby steps approach, and hopefully there won't be too many accidents in this accident-prone relationship tomorrow, and that what Minister Jaishankar will say will possibly be par for the course for SCO meetings, and then emerge from it with some degree of positivity to take the relationship forward.
Absolutely. Sorry, Murtaza Sahab, I was going to close. You have a quick last comment?
Yeah, I would just say that it's about time that India and Pakistan agree to take an old multilateral forum, SARC, out of the cold storage and operationalize it.
Ajay, what would you say to that?
Should be a goal. It is a somewhat distant goal for us, but it should nevertheless be a goal, because that is the multilateral format of the 80s that has been available to us. It's got derailed by the bilateral relationship and the troubles in the bilateral relationship. So I think the more multilaterals we have, the merrier. And there's no reason not to take out that and dust off that old multilateral, which is currently frozen. But I think we should consider it. But baby steps, as I said, let's go one step at a time, and that can be a goal for us.
I quite love this metaphor of no great leaps and baby steps, toddler steps, whatever, because having seen high drama in India, Pakistan, it's usually followed by hijinks. And I think everybody's exhausted from that. We leave it there. This has been a very interesting and educative conversation. Ambassador Ajay Bisaria, author of Anger Management, a must-read book on India-Pakistan relations, the distinction of having been asked to leave Islamabad after 370 was abrogated, says today that Pakistan isn't emphasizing that. And I think that's a very perceptive comment. Sometimes what's not said is as important as what what is said. And to Murtaza Solangi, thank you so much, sir, and for this civil conversation across borders. That is the best part of all. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night. And to our audience, thank you and see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Barkha.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.